you're wasting literally 70% of your life. Why are you doing what you do? What is it you are doing? That could be a lot of different things, and it'll mean something different to everybody, but like your job. Why do you do your job? You do your job for money so that you can do the things you want to do. But what is it you really want to do? What is it you want to have? A Lambo? Ferraris? Cars? Start some kind of business. Identify a problem and offer a solution somehow in that industry or to other people that have those cars. You will be around those cars and you will learn how to get those cars. It's always amazing when you see people with exotic cars like that. Most of them don't have a job that pays for that car. Like, they didn't just get a job that's paying them $250,000 a year and then boom, they're able to get the car because they live in an apartment. A lot of those dudes just started doing videos and started doing rebuilds and got themselves into that industry somehow and came upon the option to get that vehicle. They were offered that car. Not that they bought it outright. You're working all this time to go ski. Why don't you just go be a ski instructor? You're working all this time to be around your kids. You could start almost any job and your kids could be around you at work all the time. My kids were always there growing up. They were in the shop constantly. My kids went to school, came home from school. They were at the shop. They were at this shop. If that's what you want to do, what is it that you truly want to do? Do you work a 9-to-5 job and you spend all this money to go to school to get a job? Most people don't go to school to learn to do things that they want to do. They go to school to get a job to make the amount of money they want that allows them to do the shit, when really they hate the job that allows them to do the stuff that they love. So identify what that truly is and skip all that bullshit. Figure out what you truly love doing and then figure out how to make enough money to do that. Do you have to make a lot of money to do that if you love what it is you're doing? Because you don't have to have all the shit in the middle to do that. If working out is what you love doing and all you do all day long at work is wait to get off work to go to the gym, why don't you figure out a way to have a gym or a way to work in that industry somehow? And it doesn't even have to be that you are a trainer or a bodybuilder or a fitness model. It can be that you just offer some product. You've designed some item and manufacture some product that allows you to go to LA Fit Expo and all the fitness expos, and boom, now all of a sudden you're in that industry. Instead of working a miserable 9-to-5 that you hate and have to take time off and go do all that travel to go to that expo to be around the thing it is you want to do, why don't you just put yourself in there, whatever that is. You like zoo animals, figure out how to have those animals or work with those animals or be around those animals, whatever that is. You just have to figure out what it is. And if you're doing ABC in order to get to do XYZ, you're wasting literally 70% of your life. You have to figure out what that is. I loved making stuff. I loved creating stuff. I just loved tactical gear. Like, that's what I spent all my time looking at. We would go to the gun shows. It wasn't the guns and shit we were looking at. I personally was looking at. It was the gear. I had a huge collection. And I actually, in the beginning, thought that I eventually would have some kind of shop making this stuff. And in the shop, I would have a museum, a little museum of all my gear and all the equipment from around the world and all the manufacturers. And I was constantly drawing things out, and I was going to have another company make my stuff. And my buddy said, why don't you just make that shit? Why don't you make it? And I said, well, I don't know how to sew. And when I started sewing, my cousin introduced me to a dude that had made some stuff. And we were going to gun shows. Special operations equipment originally was T-shirts. I actually found some the other day. It was a picture of myself, my cousin, and my sister with some MP5 airsoft guns and shit, and rappel harnesses, and we had taken Woodland BDUs and dyed them black with RIT dye, and we used this thing called 386 line reversal. You took a black and white photo and they reversed the negative and made a screen off of it, and it was printed in black and white, and it literally looked like a black and white photo on the t-shirt 30 years ago. And we took and sold a bunch of those shirts at gun shows, and I took a bunch of this guy who my cousin introduced me to. I took his stuff to the gun show, and I had a belt, and a pistol mag and some rifle mags and a little LVV. Very, very plain LVV compared to what we build now. And I took it and I took a bunch of orders off of it, about $2,500 worth of orders that weekend, which was a ton of money for me. And we took all that shit, took deposits off of all this gear, $2,500, which was a lot of money for me. It was more money than I'd ever had in a legal manner at any time. So I went back to him and I was super excited. I'm like, okay, I'm really good at selling this stuff. Here's the orders. This is what we have to build. You build it, I'll sell it. And he's like, slow down there, Turbo. I'm not going to build this stuff. I'm doing parachute shit. I just had this stuff and I meant for you to sell it. I go, well, I sold it, but I sold a lot more of it. I go, well, what are we going to do? He's like, well, you're going to refund the money or you're going to learn how to sew. So I was thrown into it. I had no option and I didn't know how to sew. We went and rented a sewing machine and he came over and showed me how to sew for about 3 minutes. And then I ran out of thread that night out of the bobbin, and I didn't know how to sew, and I didn't know how to rethread the machine, and YouTube didn't exist, and the library was closed. So Mom's like, sewing's in your blood. I'll show you how. Well, Mom came out, and she didn't have a fucking clue. She had home sewing machines. It was very different. So I waited, and 3 or 4 days, Mike came back over and showed me how to change a bobbin and brought me some more, the stuff we throw away. We throw away fucking 50-gallon bags of end cuts because the end of the roll is so tight, there's usually creases in it, and it doesn't feed off of our digital cutters. Even when we hand cut it, it's curved, and it doesn't stack. When we stack it 20 high, we usually do bunches of 20, and then if I need 100, I've got 5 stacks of 20. So he would bring me the trash, and I would build something out of it, and then I would run out of thread, and then inevitably, I'm using a lightweight machine. I'm using a 130, a Singer 130E. It has a reverse on it. But it's a lightweight machine, so I would break the needle. And when the needle broke, it was a catastrophic. It wasn't just snap the needle. It was like grenaded fragments stuck in your face, pulling them out. Glad that wasn't in my eye. The machine's totally out of time. So in a couple days, we run it down to the border or the other side of the border into Tijuana, and we get a dude who can't speak fucking English, or better yet, I can't speak Spanish, and I'm like, this is broke. So they would fix the machine, and inevitably the machine would always sew there while you tested it, but when you got it home, it didn't fucking sew the same way. So I spent 6 months building terrible, hideous, ugly shit, and I was just lucky that people wanted to buy it. But in the beginning, it was the gear that I wanted. So I figured out a way to put myself in the industry. That I don't know that that was really the plan, but nowadays everything, that is the plan for everything. Anything I do, anything I'm interested in, I find a way to build something, and I'm able to do that as part of the business. There's a whole fucking gym here, and we make a few products that are applicable to the gym. Same with the razors, same with the trucks. Anything I do is business related, and that's what you need to figure out. If you're doing ABC, if you're going to school and getting further education to get a job because you think it pays money, but what you're going to school to learn to do is not what you actually want to do. If you're only doing that for the money, and really what you want is the Ferrari, you're going to be fucking miserable. You need to figure out how to get the fucking Ferrari and make money with the Ferrari. Whether that's renting cars or using them in photos, you have to immerse yourself in that if you want to have that vehicle. Because if you spend all that time to learn that shit, to get that job, to get that check, to be able to buy and then make payments on that fucking car, you wasted 10 fucking years of your life when you could have just fucking went straight to the car. You have to go touch the car, smell the car, visualize the car, see the car, know what color you're going to get, picture the thread, picture the fucking burl wood. You have to know all of that shit. Otherwise, you're just pretending and it's never going to come to you. Skip all the fucking steps, figure out what you love to do, and then figure out how to make money doing that. Because everything else, you're just wasting a decade of your time and you could have already been there.